The 2026 casino year for Royal Caribbean is in full swing, and we've had some people after our 2025 roll up reach out to us and ask about how we track our casino winnings and losses on a per cruise and for the entire year. So that's what I'm here to share with you today. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm James from Sea Days and Sunsets, and my wife Kimberly and I are recently retired and have begun our journey to cruise and travel as much as we can in retirement. And today, I'd like to share with you some of the spreadsheets that we use and the techniques that we use to track how we're doing in the casino and attempt to ensure that all of our winnings and losses add up to more free cruises than they actually cost or would have cost if we had booked them straight away. So, everything I have to share with you is going to be available to download. It's in the description, and you can use those spreadsheets as you wish, or you can come up with your own ways here. So, let's jump right in and take a look at what we've got. This is the session tracker that I've opened up that Kimberly and I use for every single session in the casino. I forgot to mention in the intro, though, if you find any value in this, if you wouldn't mind giving it a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content like this and all kinds of good travel stuff. But this template here, you can find in the description of the video here, and you're going to find the session casino template and then our 2026 casino year tracker that we'll go over here in a few moments. But what Kimberly and I do before every single cruise is we would take a copy of this file and we'd rename it. So currently we're on the Liberty of the Seas. So we would have a James Liberty of the Seas and the date of the trip. And then we would have a Kimberly Liberty of the Seas or Liberty, whatever you want to call it, for and the date for her also. And every single time we go and do a casino session, we start with the time, so we would put in today and then the time. Let's say I always just use military to make it easy. Let's do something simple like that. And then for our very first session, so if this was my very first session, I would start with 0 points, of course. And let's say on the machine, I go and I pull $200 out. I would start with this for everything here. You are going to see immediately when you do this that this does show that you have a negative amount. You're going to correct that at the end. What I should have started with, though, here, the most important thing is you're going to pull these up from my shared drive out here. But what you're going to need to do immediately for any of these you're going to work with is go out and download the copy as an Excel spreadsheet. It's going to be the way you want to work with this. You can do this. You could save it off. There'll be other options here. If you're a Google Sheets user and everything, you can directly save this to your drive from here. But if you just want to start working with it and getting your own copy, just go out, choose download, save it as an Excel file, and start working with it from there. It is going to be read only off of my drive. So you will not be able to make these same edits that I'm making now. I'm going to delete these before I share them with you and everything. But you want to start from here. And each session, you're going to come in, plug in your numbers, and you're going to work through your session. You're going to have a 2 minute session, which I just had earlier in this cruise, which was a good session, by the way. Or you're going to have a 2 hour session for whatever you're going to do, whether you're sitting at a slot machine, whether you're sitting at a video poker machine, even if you're at a blackjack table. You can do this. If you go up to a slot machine, you tap in your points at the beginning of the session, figure out how many you've got, play blackjack for 4 hours. Then, when you're done, give the pit boss a few minutes to wrap everything up. Then you're going to come back through here at the end of it and you're going to put in that you got 122 points during that session and you ended up down where you walked away with $150, let's say. And you're going to do that, and it's going to update your numbers here. So, what you can see on the screen is that it shows for that session, you lost $50. And then what I don't have labeled very well up here, but just so you know, is some of these numbers that we're working with. It's going to show you your total loss or gain for the entire cruise. It's going to show you what your cost per point is here. So this would be 1 cents roughly is what this would be costing me for points. And it's going to show you your total points. And you're going to do this over and over again. So your next session, you should be starting with 122 points. And let's say you stick with the same thing and you're going to start with $150 there. And we're going to do the same thing over and over again. So this time you're going to walk away with 200 points even. And this time you actually won and you're going to walk away with $300 that you're up. I'm going to be optimistic for everybody here. So now at this point, you're ahead $100. The cost per point is a little negligible because you're in the plus side, but you're officially making 50 cents for every point you earned, and you've gotten 200 points. So you're going to do this through your entire cruise. Every session that you work through, you track it all. These numbers should always match. Whatever's up here should be, if you walk up to that slot machine and you tap in or you put your card in, it's going to show you how many points you've got. This number should always match. If it doesn't, you can just create a fake entry. You can do whatever you need to get those to match back up so that you're tracking all the way through and you know how you're doing. And the one thing I want to point out here that Kimberly and I work through this all the time, why this is so insanely important. Because as human beings, as gamblers, we go on feelings a lot. And this spreadsheet takes away the feelings. This tells you, the fact that, I'm on a 16-day cruise right now. And if I had had, let's say, 5 or 6 great days in the beginning of the cruise, but let's say the last 3 days they had been loss after loss after loss, I can still be doing very, very well on the cruise, but it could feel like I'm doing poorly. And that's where these numbers come in so important right now, is they let you know factually how you're doing. And that is why we track all of these, because especially for us as video poker players, video blackjack players, and slot players, it happens all the time that it just feels like we're losing. But then we come back and say, hey, actually, it's only costing us 27 cents a point to get those to where we're at right now. And then it brings us back to reality. Now the opposite can be true also, and it can bring you back around and say, maybe I'm losing a little bit more than I should be on this cruise, whatever my budget was and everything to work through it. Well, we work through this. Kimberly and I have each our own spreadsheet. What we do is we do have Android phones. I believe Apple works the exact same way, but we make these spreadsheets available offline on our phones in case we don't have internet or good internet access when we're down in the casino, so that we can still plug these things in. And then we track each of these as we go. Okay, simple enough. I think you've got that and everything. So what we do at the end of the cruise is we're going to switch to the other one, which I'm going to share with you here, the 2026 casino year. And this is, of course, set up for Kimberly and myself. You can customize this any way you want. Hopefully, if it's you and a spouse, partner, whomever, you can go through this, or you could hide an entire column. If you don't need the other one, change the names, whatever you're going to work through. So I'm going to start with actually how our casino year has begun this year. And our casino year began with 2 comp cruises that we had earned. So what we do in this situation for tracking our entire year is we would go through, and I'm going to make it easy, and I'm going to say on April 1st, we got a comp offer. And instead of putting the ship here is the ship that you actually win on to earn your points and what you did, is that I always put the word comp in here, and then I just zero out all of these fields, and we'll come back to them in a minute, but they're probably pretty self-explanatory. And the amount we gambled, all these are being calculated here. But then in this last column, we're not very last, but this column here in column I, what we end up doing is on the day, when we book that comp, what I do is I go out to Royal Caribbean's website. And sorry if this is a little slow. I am on cruise ship Wi-Fi right now. But as this is coming up, I go out and I find what the cost of the cruise is, less port fees and taxes. And that's what I consider the value of the cruise. So I'm going to go out and search. And we'll do this with any example that we can get up quickly. How about that? How about the Wonder of the Seas right here? We'll choose the first date that Wonder of the Seas comes up for us here. October 5th looks like a great date. How about that one? And let's say we were getting a Compton interior cruise on this one. Keep it simple. When you can see it's starting at $499, but that includes port fees and taxes. And we just got a guarantee, of course. In this case, they're mostly guarantees now, unfortunately. So I'll go ahead and click this. It was already over here, so we'll stick with it though. Um, and here you go. On this left-hand side, it ends up showing you the cruise fare and the discounts. And this subtotal amount is what I use for this. So you can see this is what you're going to owe on top of whether you get a comp or whether you got a certificate while you were gambling. You're going to owe the 267.06 for your port fees and taxes, but you got a value of 729. So in this case, I would come over here and I would put the benefit in of 729, and then I would put Wonder, and then I don't know, 1111 is what don't even remember what date we just grabbed there. But then we would go through that. And then let's say the cruise that we're currently on, that I was showing you the example from before, I would come through and this would have started on 4/3/26. This is the Liberty. And in this case, I'll give you my actual numbers because I get a little bragging rights right now. For this cruise right now, I am up $100 right now. So in my case, I would put a negative 100 in here because this is actually always tracking losses. We're not used to winning on these things. We usually just try to lose less than what the cruise cost. And I've got 2,000 points right this second. And let's say Kimberly let's just make it easy and say, okay, she's lost 200 and she has 1,200 points. So this would total it up so that we can track how we're each doing throughout the year. That so far right now, we've lost $100. We've gotten 3,200 points total. And then I would come out here and I would look up the cruise that I picked after we get off the ship and say it's worth 1139 is what it is, and I'm going to go on the Allure, whatever date that's going to be out there, and this is how we would track it. And so this was the roll up that you saw if you watched our 2025 year in review, where you got to see our cost per point. So with these numbers, we'd be at about 3 cents a point right now. We had only lost a total of $100 on the year. You can imagine as this rolls through the year, that's going to ebb and flow quite a bit. But then what we really go through is what was the benefit that we received. So in this case, would have received an $1,868 benefit, which has actually then saved us $1,768. That's assuming we lost 100 gambling and the benefit. That's the difference there. So what's important here is I don't generally include the port fees and taxes in this because we have to pay those regardless. And if we were going to book this cruise, we would have paid the port fees and taxes anyway. So what do you think? Are these spreadsheets going to be useful to you? Is anything missing? Or is there a better way that this could be done that maybe Kimberly and I haven't even thought of yet? Please let me know in the comments. And otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful 2026-27 casino year and good luck.